Up next on Beyond the Clef, we actually have a really special episode. We have both Bree Porter and Matt Porter. Bree is from Ty's Junior High Orchestra, and she feeds into Matt Porter's orchestra at Tompkins High School, and their husband and wife. So it's a really interesting dynamic that we get to talk about today here. I promise he didn't say anything bad about you. And we're going to be talking about positive attitude in that in their culture, in their orchestra program, and some advice that we have for some young directors out there. That's coming up next on Beyond the Clef.
Beyond the Clef is presented by Director's Choice.
All right, so Bree, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We, of course, in this episode just had your husband, Matt Porter, on.
Yeah.
And he is at Tompkins High School, and you are at Ty's Junior High Orchestra.
Yep, that's
so
right.
Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So just a little while ago with Matt, we were talking about what he really tries to set up is the positive atmosphere at his program. Can you talk about that at y'all's program in the junior high and kind of how that translates between the two groups?
Definitely. Well, we try and mentor or mirror that same environment at the junior high like he has at the high school. All of my students are lucky enough to go to Tompkins High School with him, and so it's nice to kind of have that commonality, that home away from home feeling when you're at a big school. We both teach at really, really large campuses. And it's nice for those students to get to come in and have familiar faces and have a safe space. Some things that we just kind of do from the start is basic stuff, meeting the kids at the door, greeting them, looking them in the eye. Every rehearsal always starts with tuning. So tuning is kind of a great time for me to just kind of check in on all of the students because they're playing. It can sometimes take a long time, especially in the beginning. And just kind of make eye contact with them, make sure, see how they're feeling. If somebody looks like they're had a rough morning or they're not feeling great, or maybe they're excited and they're just super happy, and just kind of to touch base with them and make sure they're doing okay. We also do a thing that may sound super silly, but just to kind of help that positivity and that kind of relaxed environment. Every Monday throughout the school year, my beginners love this the most, but every Monday we do 5 minutes, probably maybe 7, thumbs up, thumbs down, real quick. They don't have to share if they don't want to. Some people want to share too much, but just kind of how your weekend was, thumbs down, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways, like something great, something not so great, oh man, you had 6 hours of swimming on Saturday, that's awful. But then you'll find out people across the orchestra had the same event and they didn't even know each other until that time. And you can follow up with them from month to month, year to year. So it's just kind of a nice relationship building and positive moment. So
that sounds like a really cool technique because it lets everybody do their own thing, and sometimes they don't want to share out loud. And sometimes when I'm going to definitely be using that. I think next month when we start out, because when I ask the kids sometimes, "Oh, how was your weekend?" You get like that loud kid that tells you everything. Detail, and they're like, "And then the dog did this, and then we did this, and then we went to the store," and then everybody else kind of gets opened up into telling me the details, and it's like, you just sat at home and played Xbox. You didn't really do anything.
Right.
I was just going to see if all of a sudden you were like, "Oh yeah, I went to Denver." I want to know.
Totally.
But I think that's a really cool idea because it's also a relationship builder, like you said, to see the kids that maybe aren't having a good experience or they really want to tell you about it.
Yeah.
They're really connecting.
It's awesome. And they find somebody, maybe they don't think what they did is cool, or maybe they're the only one who is in competitive jump rope or something random, but then they find out different things.
Please tell me that's not an actual thing.
That's an actual thing. That's
a total
thing. And yes,
okay, cool.
It's intense. They've shown
I'll wait till
videos.
That elective gets added to the schedule.
Exactly, right? But yeah, it's super cool. So then they kind of, I didn't know that you did that also, or video games, of course, those coming out, and then they kind of form those little relationships. So
right.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
all right.
That's awesome.
Well, now tell me about your feeder experience and moving up to the high school and some of the things that you think y'all do really well for recruitment and retention. That's something I'm really big on right now.
Right.
So what are maybe some of your favorite events or philosophies that you have?
Definitely our first one that we have is our Masquerade Serenade. It's every October.
Yeah, Matt talked about that.
Okay. That's a huge thing. The kids are so excited about it. We don't have beginners at that concert, so it's kind of something that the beginners have been looking forward to because they hear about it and they get to dress up, and we kind of sometimes when they hear, oh, you dress up for a concert, that must be super dumb. Probably nobody does it, right? But then when they hear all their high school like siblings or neighbors are also doing it, and they have themed costumes and they have group costumes, they get into it, and it's super fun. And then they just get to hear the high school groups play, and they remember songs that the high school groups play from year to year, stuff that I would never remember. Like, oh yeah, I remember that Tompkins played this song at that concert. I want to play that. Or they go home and they listen to it. So it's a super cool thing. Another thing we do, we have like an elementary music showcase. So in December, our top band, choir, and orchestras go to the high school, and we bus all the 5th graders in. And so the 5th graders get to be at the high school, hear the junior highs perform, and then they also get to walk through the high school orchestra, band, and choir rooms to just kind of see while they're walking through, they hear their rehearsals a little bit. So they see kind of the whole 6th through 12th scope of being in fine arts and what they can do and stuff. So that's super cool.
Yeah, that's a really great way to get everybody going, keep on going. And I always feel like the recruitment from my middle school band program getting in there is less about sometimes going in and saying this is why you should do band.
Right.
It's more about them being exposed to music in all the ways that we do it.
Right.
And so seeing us at events or the community and being a part of the community, I think that's sometimes more important than the show and presentation-y things.
Totally. And different things like going to, supporting the other things that they're involved in, just besides just their one orchestra thing. The kids are involved in so many different events. So going to their volleyball game or going to their basketball game or football. I know at the high school level especially, they'll have like an orchestra night supports the football, and they'll all go and take up a bunch of seats in the stands and stuff, to just have that community feeling, that no, you don't have to just do orchestra. Like there's tons of awesome things. You can do as much as you want,
Right.
So, yeah, it's really cool.
Something else we've been talking about is our young orchestra directors. What are some advice that you have for a young director, some things that you wish that you knew then now?
Oh my
goodness. Now then, whatever.
Right. There's so much. I felt like I didn't know anything, honestly. And I've learned I still feel like I'm a new teacher, and this is my 15th year. Probably some things, I think at the end of the day, the most important thing that you do throughout the day is just connecting with kids, because they can play, they're choosing to be in your group, right? Orchestra, band, choir, they're all electives that they choose to be in. So if they don't really care about you as a person or as a human being, or think that you care about them, they're not going to work as hard, and they're not going to show up the next semester, the next year, or however the course selections work at your school. So just connecting with the kids would be number one, and then asking questions. Just always be asking questions of, if you have a mentor teacher, if you have the high school director, if you have other teachers in your district that are seasoned teachers that have been around for a while. Another thing I do, like going into UIL season, I look at other schools that have been successful either in my district or outside of my district, and I see which pieces do they play that were successful, which pieces were played that were not successful. Because I remember being very scared very nervous about picking music. Because they don't have a music selection class in college, right? And like how to do this. And so I remember not knowing what to look for really, and what would be a common mistake, what would sound good with minimal effort. So doing that, looking at UIL lists, asking questions, building relationships, and then just kind of, sorry, I'm babbling about this because there's so much.
Yeah, right.
Like your pacing of it, not to try and, so many times we can get stuck on like, oh, they don't have this entrance phrased right, or the timing isn't just perfectly together, or this one little note in the chord is a little bit out of tune still, and you get fixated on it. But like a student's brain, they're not going to be working hard for you and paying attention on that for more than 5 minutes at the most.
I always tell my student teachers, my younger directors, that sometimes what you have to do is it's kind of the lesser of all the evils and figure out what is the most glaring problem. And
right.
Sometimes that means in the rehearsal you have to glance over a couple things that you know.
Yes.
Just because you know it's there doesn't mean you have to address it right then.
Exactly. So I try and let them play through the tune until I have at least 3 things to say. So like we play, I'm like, okay, that sounds like trash. Okay, keep going. Okay, all right, here we go. We're gonna stop. This here, seconds, cellos, first, All right, ready? We're going to try it again. Focus on those 3 things. So just to kind of give them a direction on what to work on. So, and not stop every 2 measures.
Well, Bree, thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you.
So we're with Bree Porter, the Director of Competitive Jump Roping at Ties Middle School, or Ties Junior High. So thank you so much for you and Matt being on the program.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Beyond the Clef. For more great content, subscribe on our website at beyondtheclef.com. And be sure to follow us on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Facebook.